Well, thank you, band. That was wonderful. I love that last song. It was high on energy and lifted me up. I've had these moments of feeling a little rusty. It's been a while since I've been up here, and you try and find that balance between reining in fears and concerns in life and opening up to the ease and the beauty and the grace that Spirit has put us here for. So the title for the talk, Make Love, Not Walls. And having spent a week or so kicking around a half a dozen different possible titles with a couple thoughts behind them, most of them the next day I would look at notes which are on a scrap of paper next to my bed and go, that is silly. That doesn't even make sense. Let alone I was thinking it was catchy or something. But Dory and I were in New York for a week up there for a graduation. And I looked down the block, and this 6-story building had this mural on it, which you could see from quite a distance. And I thought, that's amazing. I mean, what a nice thought. In the middle of New York City with 8.5 million people, and it seemed like 12 million cars. And but to have a message out there. So I walked a couple blocks down to get a good picture of it and only saw that it was a commercial for Diesel jeans, which I don't know, but at any rate, it's a message. And you know, the same as LG products is life is good. So maybe the more and more of that gets out there, some of it sticks. So some of the outtakes that didn't make it to the talk, about a month and a half ago, Barbara called me and it was snowing. She said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it up. You know, would you be ready to do a talk if I can't make it? I said, sure. And it was snowing. And I had the perfect little story because a couple years ago, I was riding down the highway in New Jersey on Route 78. It's like 3 lanes each direction. It's been snowing all day. There isn't a soul on the road. By 8:30 at night, everybody has left work at 2:30 or 3. And I'm flying down the highway because if you live up in that part of the country, you are always in a hurry, regardless if there's 3 inches of snow on the road. And I'm in the fast lane and I'm just sailing along. And it does occur to me that if I lose control and I'm in the fast lane, I'm going off the road, not into the ditch, because you guys have ditches here. Here, the road just kind of goes down a little. They're not life-threatening, but I thought, okay, you know, play it safe, move to the middle lane. I mean, there isn't a soul on the road, and I ask you, if there is no one on the road, do you need to use a blinker? Well, a couple minutes later, the blue flashing lights were on behind me. You know, I mean, I'm the only car on the road. Did it matter? So, you know, license, registration, yes, officer. One thing I always do when I see blue lights is go into treatment. Immediately. And I've had some wonderful results, you know. But I said, what did I do? He goes, failure to use directional and changing lanes. And I'm like, you're kidding. I'm the only car on the road. He goes, it's the law. Well, that's the deal. We live in a world of laws. Man-made laws are easy. You can bend them, tweak them, you can cry, they can cut you a break if they're in a good mood, you can be OJ. And if you got a good defense, but spiritual law doesn't know the difference. It just knows the truth. It reads your thoughts, conscious, unconscious, and responds, and it's done unto you as you believe, whether you are consciously thinking or it's just the things that have been planted into you as a child. So we grow up, we start the empty vessel or the clean slate, and it gets filled with society's views, American culture, what you should have in order to be happy. I mean, we're bombarded, let alone we get bombarded with that, and then some of us have parents that grew up in a depression, so, you know, you're supposed to be scrimping and saving everything, and, you know, it's a mishmash of stuff, but it's never, who am I? What matters to me? What is my truth? Am I courageous enough to express it after being told 100 times, you shouldn't say that, that's not nice? And all those messages we get. So we are walking down the street one day, and there's this, what I assumed was a contractor on the phone in the street. And if you're on the phone in the streets of New York, you're talking loud. And to me, it sounded like he was setting one of his workers straight. And he goes, you know, your idea of a 10 is somebody else's 2. And I thought, wow, if that didn't put him into his place. But I thought, where in life am I looking at things thinking, what is my 10 and what is my 2? And where am I content with what I've got, which is important. But wouldn't it be better, wouldn't it be better if I could bring more joy, bring more love, bring more peace, be a little more grounded? Where do I rate myself on some of these things? Am I thinking that 4 is awesome? When in reality, I have no concept or idea what 10 is. You know, and it's not material. I mean, it's easy. We're bombarded with materialism as happiness, which most of us have figured out. It's momentary sometimes. Sometimes it lasts a little longer. It also comes and goes. But the key to life is feeling that joy of living. And it is these basic principles. You know, we can draw into our experience what we want. I mean, it is said, it is done unto you as you believe. There are spiritual laws that are less forgiving. You reap what you sow. But we don't seem to wrap our head around them as easy as knowing the speed limit, because they're invisible. We get the laws of physical laws of gravity and a variety of these things, but we don't get that life is this open experience, depending on who we are and what we want to open up to. And this make love, not walls. We've got this system. It's like a medieval castle that we developed. It often has the moat and the drawbridge, and occasionally we let down the bridge, invite somebody in for a while. Thing gets tough, you kick them back out the door and pull up the bridge. It's easy. But, you know, the living part is not having the walls. To be open. You don't have to be a fool. I heard a speaker once say that even Jesus knew to run from a fool, you know, because you've got to tune into your wisdom, you know, the inherited intelligence, your intuition, if you can get clear on what intuition is, to guide you in the things that you do. I've got a quote, which I can occasionally look over here, because if I'm going to read a quote, I'd like to get it right. And this is from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. You must either conquer and rule, or serve and lose, suffer or triumph, be the hammer or the anvil. My grandfather wrote that on my high school graduation card, telling me I had a choice in life to embrace it. And here, it's about embracing the spiritual laws and using them to our advantage, to step out there in faith, in confidence, knowing all is well. That the things that we receive in life, we put the restrictions, depending how far we decide to lower the wall or to make ourselves vulnerable. You know, life, it's, you approach this ocean of life and you can go to it with a thimble or a bucket, depending how much you want to embrace. And I got up the other morning and I looked in the kitchen sink and it was filled with plates, which I like an empty sink in the morning. So before I got going, I figured I'm gonna load the dishwasher, except for the problem was I opened the dishwasher and the dishwasher was filled with clean things. And now I'm like, I don't know about this. I mean, I don't want the dishes, but I didn't really feel like I was buying into emptying the dishwasher, but I begrudgingly emptied the dishwasher. It's not that big a deal. But, you know, I just got this visual that that's what we are in life. The dishwasher's full. And we come here and we want to bring more into our life. But you got to empty what's in it. You got to empty the ideas, the beliefs. Some you're aware of, some you're not even aware of, till they hit you over the head for the 100th time. And it's the wall, you know? It's all about being in the loving, open place. Love is happy. Walls serve to protect. Many of them are protection from events that happened 20 or 30 years ago, and we're keeping the wall up. It serves to protect, but it also keeps out. It's a double-edged sword. There are moments it serves, and there are moments it should come down, whether it's block by block, where you just push the whole thing over in one shot and have it be your bridge to freedom. So, topic one's down. The other one that crossed my mind was going to be called Trying to Remember, because I am continually trying to remember these truths myself. I can get caught up in daily living, and it reminded me of a book that Colin Tipping had written years ago about radical forgiveness and the beauty that these incredibly challenging relationships that we wind up in are there for a purpose, to see, you know, what we need to see. If you're having a challenge in a relationship, you're getting activated. Those are the pieces that are in the wall that need to come down. But he tells this great little story about this couple that have like a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and everybody's happy, but one day the 5-year-old wants to spend some time with the 2-year-old, with the door shut. Very clear about that. Did not want to be overheard. Already maybe had a sense of, I don't know, you know, concerns of what her parents might think or something. So the parents talk about it, and they get the old Fisher-Price monitor system out there, and they set it up, and, you know, they're in the kitchen wondering what's going on, and the 5-year-old goes in, and they're chatting a little bit. The 2 or 3-year-old's in the crib, and she finally says, "Tell me all about God. I'm beginning to forget." And it's part of the journey. There are some people that say that we make a contract when we come into this life with a specific purpose. The catch is you forget it on the way in. And that's what life's about, to discover what your purpose is. Whatever it is, whatever gift you bring, every individual in here has a different gift and a unique ability. And finding fulfillment is about connecting with the gift. You feel your power, you feel the joy, you feel the love. Many people will tell you, you can't do that, you know? And we live behind these messages, and we live limited, short lives compared to what they could be. In that Colin Tipping thing, another quote also from Goethe, "If I accept you as you are, I will make you worse. However, if I treat you as though you are what you are capable of becoming, I help you become that." Take that to your relationships. When you get those moments, you know, where you're like, ooh, you know, somebody says something and you know, it gets you, and the wall goes up. But to see the perfection of your partner as the foundation through any challenge changes everything, everything. So the spiritual journey, that piece that we forget about as we come into this work, I again clipped something off the internet. The inner work you do is the means through which you challenge illusions about your life that need to fade away and to introduce truths that have the power to expand your relationship to this vast, subtle, integrative, co-creative universe The spiritual path is a constant preparation to respond to your personal world and to the greater field of life with an ever-growing sense of clarity, compassion, and courage. So, it's a journey. It goes up, it goes down. Some days I'm totally connected, other days I am far from it. But the point is that we know what we want to come back to. It is okay to have moments. It helps if you can remember the truth in those moments. You know, putting up the wall, I've gotten a lot of improvement over the years, and it's only taken 30 or 40 years. I mean, if I have a disagreement, I used to be able to not talk to somebody for 3 or 4 days. You know, I can do that. I can shut down. But now, you know, a half an hour or something, I go, man, this isn't what I want. Doesn't mean I'm ready to instantly give it up. Don't get the wrong impression. But there's an awareness that, you know, is this how I want to live? Do I want to live behind this wall of sensitivity or whatever the nonsense may be that somebody said something that made me feel less than or whatever it is? Or do I want to be in the place of love? It is about make love, not walls. The walls must come down to open up to what life's experience is. So the main topic, which I'm now getting to, which is probably shorter than the other topics, but, you know, love has life. Walls close you in. There's no question. And we all have them. Some of them, you know, they say time heals all wounds, and I realize that time does change things. I don't remember much anymore. So I don't know whether they were healed or I've just forgotten about them. But either way, I recognize I get a fresh start. I get a fresh start every day. And I'm very aware of when that wall's coming up. I'm very aware of the fact that there's something I need to express, and I'm not really comfortable expressing it to my partner because I don't know what the reaction may be. And I go, well, what piece of the wall is that? Who told me that what I had to say, I shouldn't be saying? You know, and I get those 4 kids in my family, and if everybody was complaining about all this stuff, you know, it gets to be a bit much, and they just tell everybody to sit down and shut up, you know? But I never felt like somebody said to me, you know, how do you feel? And I felt like I never really learned how to be and feel like I was in a safe place where I could say it. And I've learned occasionally to actually share what I'm thinking. It's special occasions. And it's not always that big a deal. So I go, well, what is it? Am I in love or am I in fear? And that is a scary proposition if you look at your life and see the percentage of it that's coming from fear. Very subtle, insidious, and affects everything. We come here with a world in front of us where there are no shortages, and yet we live at times in lack. I had years I was so happy I came home and the lights were still on. You know, I mean, that was my idea of things are okay. You know, living week to week on a paycheck, where we talk prosperity. If you can read these things and resonate from a heart, you're there. If you're reading it and you're getting that little yuck thing or whatever because you're not wholeheartedly buying it, you gotta let go. There's an old message within you that's in the wall for whatever reason that no longer serves. Am I out of time? But, you know, life is meant to be lived in full expression. It's not just that you're breathing. It's about expression. We often say that we are unique, creative individual expressions of God. And the thing is to express that divinity, express that creativity, regardless of what other people have to say. Find out for yourself. Not live the life where you go, I really wish I had pursued that. You know, I followed my father's footsteps instead of my heart's desire, or whatever it may be. But pursue that which speaks to you and fires you up. It gives you energy, it gives you life. The calling of all of this is for us to come back to love. I'm going to read, and then I'm about wrapping up, what Emmett Fox, if you could only love enough, you could be the most powerful person in the world. Then he goes on, there is no difficulty that enough love will not bridge. No disease that enough love will not heal. No door that enough love will not open. No gulf that enough love will not bridge. No wall that enough love will not throw down. No sin that enough love will not redeem. It makes no difference how deeply seated may be the trouble, how hopeless the outlook, how muddled the tangle, how great the mistake. A sufficient realization of love will dissolve it all. If only you could love enough, you would be the happiest and most powerful being in the world. So, it takes courage to love. It takes courage to live from a place of love and be vulnerable. But the point is, transparency and authenticity is where the gift of who we are. The word courage, which if you look in the dictionary, you've got to dig deep to find out what it means. Because it's come down to a fireman running into a burning home, you know, or somebody jumping on a grenade, or, you know, acts of valor. But the root of the word courage is cor, the Latin word for heart. Courage originally meant to speak one's mind by telling all one's heart. That takes courage. That's the courage that drops the wall. Intimacy, they say, is into me see. Are you willing to reveal who you are? Because trust me, you can't do that and keep up the wall. It's huge, it's huge. So, as we wandered down the streets on one of the last days, we bump into this little old lady who's walking a dog, and anytime we see a dog, Dory has to meet the dog, has to talk about the dog. And so we get to the formalities, and she says, "You want to hear a joke?" Sure. You know? If Jesus had a blood type, what would it be? B positive.